It's really important you change up the way you respond to the other parent. You can do anything at exchanges to change it up. Now, my ex drove me crazy, and every single time he would talk, I would spin out of control. I would dread baseball games and other activities. And one day, my partner said to me, you know, Deena, the next time you go to a baseball game or some event where he's going to be there, get yourself one of those little dog clickers, you know, that sounds like a cricket. And he said, put it in your pocket. And then when the other parent's talking, just start clicking away at it. I think that's a great idea. As a matter of fact, it was such a good idea. I think God blessed me. It was Halloween time. I took my kids out for Halloween. I'm going through their candy, and there in one of my kids' candy box was a pumpkin clicker. Pumpkin on the front, click, 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 click. I still have it. I now could hardly wait to meet him at an exchange. Do you hear the difference in my mindset? So I put the pumpkin the clicker in my pocket. He comes up and starts talking to me, la 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 la, and I just reach down and start clicking, click, 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 and he goes, what is that? And I go, I don't know. He keeps going. Tuck, 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 tuck. I reach down a couple more minutes later, click, 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 click. He goes, what is that? And I go, I don't know. I think you better go find out. Now, who was in control? Me. I was the one that was totally in control because I set up the situation. I knew what I was going to do, and I was actually looking forward to the exchange rather than dreading it. You can do 1,000 things different every single day of the week. And so what happens is it opens up your thought process. It allows you to start thinking about different things you can do to not be stuck. When you're not stuck, you can focus on the kids. Now, even with children, you can change up the routine. Now, I'm going to tell you one very powerful story because it explains not only changing things up, but how you can give children power when you're working with somebody who might be difficult or a porcupine. And Mom came in one day before the class started, about a half an hour early, and she said, can you talk to my son? And I said, well, what's going on? She says, well, he's really, 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 really stressed. And I said, well, what's he really, 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 really stressed about? She said, well, he's out in the car. Can you talk to him? Okay, sure. So she brings him in about half an hour before class starts. He was the cutest kid. He was a darling 12-year-old boy. His hair was all spiked up, and he was just a darling kid, very smart. And I said, so you're really, 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 really stressed? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, what stresses you the most? He said, when my mom and dad fight. And I said, okay. Well, when your mom and dad are fighting, what happens to you? He says, I just freeze. I'm paralyzed. I said, ah. When you're really, 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 really stressed, what happens? He said, well, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And then he says, and then he's doing this. And I said, are you suffocating or choking? Yes. So he's having such an anxiety reaction that his parents are fighting. So when I talked to him a little bit more, I understood the routine. The routine was that the mother would drop the two children off. They would get out of the car. The father would come out of the house. Mom, thinking it was important, would roll the window down, and Dad would start yelling at her. So she's frozen in the car, holding the steering wheel. The boy's frozen, not knowing what to do, and Dad is yelling at the top of his lungs, and the child doesn't know what to do. I said, okay, let me tell you about doing something different. A, B, C, D. Okay, so I explained that to him, and we think of several things that he can do. How about the next time this happens, you start making faces? And he said, making faces? Won't I get in trouble? And I said, they won't see you. They're too upset with each other, right? Think about it. You watching your kids when you're yelling or being yelled at by the other parent? No. Okay, he could make faces. I said, you could go over and stand on your head in the grass. You could go in the house and start making cookies. You could go into your bedroom and you can open the door or shut the door and turn the music up really loud because they won't hear you, right? Let me tell you more about one other thing you can do. And I explained to him about doing something different. 9 months later, the child comes back to see me. And what he really came back to do is find out if he was ready to stand up to his dad and not go there as much anymore. That's a whole nother story. And so he said, guess what? I go, what? He said, I did a distraction the other day. That's what he called it. I said, what did you do? He said, well, you know that my dad comes out of the car and my mom rolls out of the house and my mom rolls the window down in the car and we all get stuck, right? Well, this time when it happened, I went over to the grass and did a fake faint. I said, really? What happened? He said, well, my dad raced over to see how I was and my mom zoomed off. Now, think about it. This boy had been paralyzed with fear and anxiety 9 months before that. And for 9 months, in his head, he had a plan of action that he could apply the next time that incident occurred. Do you think he had power for 9 months? He was no longer really stressed. He had a plan. The next time something bad happened, he knew exactly what to do. And it worked. Think about this. When we get into a situation with the other parent, or the children get into a situation with the other parent, and they don't know what to do, they get harmed. This child was no longer bothered or messed up or hurting or afraid of the exchange that might be yelling. He was ready for it. You see, there's lots of people in our life every day that can annoy us. They can frustrate us. They can drive us crazy. Our ex may take up the most amount of time, right? But if it's not your ex, it's a boss, do something different. If you want more information about this, we have a blog and you can address questions and share success stories. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next lesson.